Welcome, it's your boy Mike, and you know I gotta talk about the Raptors. Primarily, how are they looking after the Donovan Mitchell trade? If you didn't know, if you're like in a rock right now, it's the first video you've seen since waking up, that Donovan Mitchell's been traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's been traded. Gone, bye. To the Cavaliers for Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, and a buttload of picks. Buttload of picks. Quite frankly, for the Jazz, good. It's good. Some people would say you're gonna get like bottom 20 lottery picks because if you're looking at the Cavs, Donovan Mitchell's only 26. You know, you have Garland who's like what 20? They say he's 21, 23, something like that. He's young. Yeah, Mobley, he's young. So a bunch of young players on that team. So who's to say they're gonna be bad? Allen's young. Like they can be good for the next 10 years. And if you pick over the next 10 years, who knows what's going to happen. But I think overall, good trade for both of them. They still got some extra picks for the Jazz, my second favorite team in the league. So I kind of like what they're doing. But I'm going to talk about that all in a podcast. I have a podcast that's going to come out that I'm going to talk about all that. And I'm going to say, the best part for the Jazz and, the best part for the Cavs. And I'm still talking about the Raptors within it. Make sure you listen to the podcast. It's coming soon. Now, in saying all that, the Raptors, where do they fall in all of this? Lower. The answer is lower, guys. I want Raptor fans, I always talk about expectations. I was going to do an expectation video, but the trade happened. Once again, we keep talking about expectations for the Raptors. I don't know what yours is, but it has to be realistic. It has to be to the point where we're understanding where the growth of this team is. And you have to understand, look at the East right now. The locks that we're all already penciling in, Milwaukee and Boston. We've all penciled those two teams in. Okay, those two will probably be a top 3 team, most likely. I believe in Philly. I'm listening to a lot of Raptors podcasts saying that they believe in Philly as well. And I know you're listening to this. You believe in Philly. It's okay. I know James Harden, if he is just 70% of James Harden, that is pretty good. Especially if Tyrese Maxey is only going to improve and Tobias Harris is going to be a 4th option, which I think Tobias Harris can be a 3rd option on the team. I still think he has the ability to be that. But he's a 4th option. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And Joel Embiid is an MVP who might be going for another MVP or MVP type season. Quite frankly, he's going to be more of an MVP. I think a lot of people are going to go for him if he does have an MVP type season. I think this year could be his year. So you have Philly. That's the 3rd team. Now, I believe the Cavs are 4th. With that lineup that they have, they're 4th. People still think that they may need some more. Every team needs a little bit more. But I think if they're starting out Garland, Donovan Mitchell, that's first of all very good. I would start Isaac Okoro. Then you got Mobley and Allen. And Mobley's only going to get better. Everyone talks about Mobley being the Tim Duncan, the future Tim Duncan. And that's some high praise. And the one thing that Tim Duncan did, he made everyone better. He never scored 25 points a game. He never averaged that. He averaged 20 points a game, but because he was so efficient and so dominant when he wanted to do it, and what he did for that squad was so good. Everything that Tim Duncan does is spectacular. I think Tim Duncan, one of the most underrated players, even though I know he's top 10, he's underrated because his game isn't fancy. That's what people think of Mobley. Jared Allen is a great 5 to have. Defensive, knows how to play offensively. He's not weak in either side. He's actually pretty good on both sides, which is good. I think a team like that needs someone like that. He can do a lot of the dirty work, banging in the post with an Embiid, because quite frankly, that's the guy you need an Allen to go against an Embiid. You just do. So I think it's really good for them. Their bench, you have Karis LeVert, which I think he's now in the role he's meant to be in. Give me the ball. Donovan's sitting down. I got it. I got us. Don't worry. You have Kevin Love, who can be a nice bench big. He may not play center, but at the end of the day, what center are you facing that's going to be like Joel Embiid? You're not. The biggest center that's coming off the bench is Andre Drummond. There's no other centers that is going to be bodying Kevin Love. There really isn't. There's a lot of the backup centers are as big or as finesse as Kevin Love, to be honest. So that's a good. And they still have Rubio, who's coming from injury, and I still think at the end of the day, Rubio played such a great role for them the previous year. Pretty good. So they're the 4th team to me. Now you have the 5th team. Okay. That's where right now I'm technically penciling the Raptors. So it's not that bad. I don't know where else we really expected them. But there's still teams like Miami who we expect to be good. And Victor Oladipo keeps talking on Twitter, and I'm really thinking to myself, if he can be that guy, see, there's so much ifs, and that's the biggest thing. There's too much ifs in the whole NBA season. But that's what you do. You predict, and you kind of see where everything's at. If he's just, 70% of what he was, Miami's going to be pretty good. But Jimmy Butler, Bam, Kyle, I believe, is going to have a bounce-back season. All these things are going to be great for this team. So, still at Miami. There's Brooklyn that a lot of people are talking about. And quite frankly, with Brooklyn, first I was like, this team's going to be top 4. I was pretty good. I was thinking that, the Brooklyn Nets would be top 4. And then now I'm thinking to myself, no. Until I see it, I'm not going to talk about it. Until I see it, I'm not talking about Brooklyn being this team that's going to make it to the finals. I think it's such a lazy thing to do, to keep talking about, the Brooklyn Nets and their past of, first of all, I don't even really have past, but we talk about Kevin Durant and, we talked about him 4 years ago, and it's just not how it is. The team hasn't done nothing since he's been to Brooklyn, quite frankly. We can keep talking about his foot being on the line, and they almost beat Milwaukee, but then they got swept last year. It's like we forget what happened to them last year, and I don't want to forget that. I definitely don't want to forget that. So with that being said, that's still Miami. Of course, it's still Brooklyn. Of course, there's still Chicago. I think Chicago is going to blow it up soon. I actually think that there's any team that's going to go through a Jazz-type rebuild, it could be Chicago. In listening to some Chicago fans, it seems like they won't do that because they may just be happy being good. Which I don't blame any team for being happy, for being good, because I'd rather be good than not make the playoffs. I'd rather be mediocre than be the bottom of the barrel. I just rather that. Of course, there's teams like Detroit that some people are looking at. Detroit's a good team. There's Atlanta, who just got DeJounte Murray. There is good players in the East. There really is. So the Raptors are going to have a hard season. Please stop penciling in for 50 wins. If they win 50, that'd be great. It would be great. I'm a true Raptor fan. I honestly watch every single game. I plan my day around the Raptors games. Truly do. So I think I know what I'm saying here. When I'm saying, look at the East. They're not better than Cleveland, regular season-wise. Now, if you ask me truthfully, if Cleveland faced the Raptors in a playoff series, I do believe that Toronto could win that series. Now, how would they lose? Because Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland killed them. But Mobley's not going to kill them. If Pascal takes another leap, then I think it's a game changer. Because if Pascal takes another leap, he's closer to what Anthony Davis was doing with the Pelicans type of stuff. If that's what we're seeing. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, Pascal was going 28-4 or near 5. Now, if Pascal's taking another level, that's 24 points, 9 rebounds, 10 rebounds, that's 5 assists. That is an second team All-NBA, almost borderline first team All-NBA player. That's what we're thinking as Raptor fans. But that may not be the case. Maybe not. Then we have Scotty Barnes, who everyone thinks is going to take a leap, and I agree, could take a leap. But I'm not having these high expectations, like I said, like everyone else has. You just can't do that. He's still young. I don't think this is the season. Just like when we talk about Mobley. Mobley's going to have a good season. But him and Scotty are not going to have this, second-year leap that's going to be astonishing everybody. If it is, that's equivalent to what Luka did, to what Zion did. That's all-time great. That's all-time great. And if they're expecting Kate to do the same thing, you just don't see that. 3 guys, all from that one class, just taking such a leap. That's crazy. So Raptor fans, I think now we can dumb down the expectations of the amount of games we're going to win. Cleveland's going to win some games. They just are. I won't be surprised if Cleveland was a second-place team in the East. Just because Donovan Mitchell can get buckets. And if it's a regular season game against a random team, I can put my money on Donovan Mitchell to score. I can put my money on Mobley and Karis LeVert, really, Jared Allen and Garland. I can put my money on that team, and that team believed in itself. And if you ask some people, which I do disagree because I think that's the way the whole league is, Some people would say the Raptors may have not deserved going into the playoffs because Chicago got hurt. And we don't even know about Lonzo Ball coming into the season. He could be out until like January or something. And, you know, they got hurt and then they got sick and everything else. And then Cleveland got hurt and sick. I will say Fred wasn't healthy either. So we all have arguments of who was healthy and who was not. At the end of the day, the two most healthiest teams in Boston and Golden State made it to the finals, as they should, right? So this upcoming season is going to be tricky for our Toronto Raptors. It may not be as spectacular win total-wise because the East is so stacked. I think there's going to be that one team that's going to win about 55, 60 games. But other than that, last year Miami won with, 54 games, 53 games? I can see the same thing happening again. Because I don't think, if you're just telling me one game, that Boston is that much better than Cleveland. They're better than them, and if it was a 7-game series, I'm picking Boston. But if it's one random game in February, I can see Cleveland winning. If it's a random game against the Milwaukee Bucks, I can see Cleveland winning. So there's going to be games that Cleveland's going to win. There's going to be games that Boston wins, Milwaukee, every team. But all these teams are so close together that there's not really a difference. Like if I had to talk about a tier right now, Milwaukee and Boston are in one tier. I think Philly's in their own tier by themselves. Cleveland, I think they're in their own tier. I really do. I think they're in their own tier. Then I think Toronto, Chicago, Brooklyn are in another tier. Then I would say it's about Atlanta, the Knicks, they're within another tier. And then there's like Detroit. Yeah, that's how I'm thinking. I didn't even put Miami yet. Miami, I think, is in the tier with, you know what, I will put Miami with Philly. I'll put Miami and Philly are in the same tier. Because I think if they go on another streak, if Duncan Robinson gets his shot again, if he just gets his shot again, with Matt Strus getting his shot, like, come on. Like, that team is still good. Shoots the three, plays defense, and it's Miami. You know they're going to work hard. Oladipo's on the squad. I think it sucks that they lost, PJ Tucker, and, Philly has them, but I think they're also paying the man way too much money. But, I don't count no one's bread. Get your money the way you can get it. That's just what it is. But that's how I see it right now. So, Raptor fans, I don't know how you're seeing this. They're not better than Cleveland, and it's nice to see that we can strongly believe that this team is going to be good. I know matchup-wise, that's why I think, in a 7-game series, Toronto can potentially beat Cleveland. They match up kind of well. Like, where Cleveland's strength is like the guard play, and their guard play is probably better than Toronto's guard play. Our wing depth and our big depth is better than Cleveland's. And, Pascal can attack and mismatch. So can Scotty. That can happen a lot. And even if you make Fred guard a Jared Allen, things can happen, right? And if you play to your size, you could beat Cleveland. But I think regular season-wise, Donovan Mitchell is going to do a lot. Because I think Donovan Mitchell also wants to prove who he is as a player. I think he wants to prove that, he's a winning player. And I can see people are talking about he's going to play with Darius Garland. Right now, of course, a better version of Conley. He's playing with better players now. Rudy Gobert and Jared Allen. Yes, Rudy Gobert is better than Jared Allen, but at the end of the day, Jared Allen is not bad. He's not bad at all. And Donovan Mitchell has never played with a power forward like a Mobley, whose team it's supposed to be eventually. Not now, just like with Pascal and Scotty. It's not the team yet. It's still going to be Pascal's team. You got to let the player grow. And Isaac Okoro has the job of being the best defender on a potential championship winning team. That's how I see it. I see the ceiling for the Cleveland Cavaliers as, honestly, conference finals. And if you can see that being their ceiling, then that's how good they are. The Raptors, I find that their ceiling is second round. A second round, 7-game series. That's how I honestly believe it is. But with the Toronto Raptors, if the growth keeps occurring, then we're going to see the difference. But I'm not going to flip-flop. Cleveland's better than Toronto. So that would make Toronto probably the 5th or 6th best team. I think this year, because of how close-knit everything is, playoff and play-in, it's going to be hard. We're going to be fighting that line. I would love to say I'm wrong, but we're going to be fighting that line because if Brooklyn is who everyone says they are, come on, they got to include them. Same with Miami. A lot of people believe in Chicago and Atlanta. Some people think Atlanta's better than Toronto. So we're going to really be fighting for that, 5th, 6th, 7th line. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a hard season. It's going to be some ups and downs, like how every NBA season is, right? You know this team's going to fight. But that's what's currently the thought process in Raptor Nation. According to me, that's what it should be. You know, we have to realize this team is not there yet. Cleveland got a lot better with this trade, and we're going to see what's going to happen next. Tell me what you guys think. Road to 500 subscribers. Let's go. Let's keep pushing, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.